with the GL, the biggest change that people find is that when you look at an account structure in GP, you have segmentation. Now, I am using a sample company. Both my companies are exactly the same. They're called Fabricam Limited. They have exactly the same chart of accounts. They have exactly the same vendors and exactly the same customers. This is a migrated GP Business Central that we'll be using so that you can see the two, one on each side with very similar transactions. So when I bring up a transaction inside here, and I'm going to use a revenue account, inside here, you have to know the account number. So inside here, we can do a lookup in through here. We can go find the account number. We can search by the account number, and we can find the one that we're looking for. So we're going to use 4100 sales is what we're going to use. So there it is there. It's a sales account. Category is sales. This is how you set it up in GP. You specify whether it's a balance sheet or profit loss, debit or credit account, etc. And that's pretty well all you've got inside here. You can potentially add currencies if necessary, but we'll just leave it at that. So that's what it is there. So, and then we can save this and enter another one, and we just have to make sure that we put in a category and a description. Okay? So very standard. The segmentation is important because the three segments allow us to divvy this up to different departments and different divisions based on, I think this is department and this is division. And what we're going to do is we're going to show that this does not exist in Business Central, these three segments. There are segments, but they are not combined together like this. They are built on the fly. So what we do in Business Central, I'm going to pop over to Business Central right now, and let me just go back to Finance and go to Chart of Accounts. So when you look at a chart of accounts, this is the chart of accounts. It gives you a complete list of the chart of accounts instead of a screen, and then you go and select the account, and you'll see that it's just a 4-digit number. So I'm going to filter this. I've already built this filter for 4,000 to 4,199, just so that we can see this. There it is there. And there's 4,100. So this, whoops, my apologies. I clicked a second time. 4,100 is right here. There's my balance in it. And again, I've got my account type. Is it a posting account or not? Is it an income statement or balance sheet? What category is it in? And then we also have what's called a subcategory. And you'll notice inside here, I've got income listed inside here quite a few times and things like that. So, and when I go into a chart of it, into an account, if I just click on the account, it brings up the account card. Now, this is the same as the screen that we just saw inside GP. And what we've got inside here is we've got a lot more information that we can attach to the chart of accounts. This is true on vendors and customers as well. So inside here, we've got sales general, and then I've got an income statement. I got an account category called income, and I got a subcategory called income as well. So I could specify my incomes in my different categories, and I can have a nested approach to this. The chart of accounts in Business Central, you'll notice here that's only 4,100, and we had two other segments that we wanted to attach. So when I click on the account up at the top here, I have what's called a dimension, and inside the dimension, I can add my department and my division. I can default them if I wish to, and there's my 00 for the department, as I said, and the division is the first one, which is the 000. So if I wanted it to always go to 000 and always go to 00, I can set it up like this. Like so. Excuse me. I can also go over to here and say, okay, while I want it to default to 00, I'll allow it to have 00 to, say, 19, instead of 99 to only 20. So it can only be in 00, 10, and 20. I can actually filter this stuff out inside here. And I can make this code mandatory, or I can make it blank, means it doesn't have to be there, but can be. Mandatory means you must fill it in. It must be filled in with something. Doesn't have to be 00. It could be whatever is allowed inside here. So you can restrict things from being in the wrong department. So if you've got a rent bill, for instance, and there's only rent in Vancouver and Seattle, then but no rent in your Calgary office, you could make this 00 and 00 for Vancouver and 10 for Calgary, or whatever you wanted it to be. So that's what we've got inside here. So that's what, and we use the same code or no code. I'm going to leave it blank so I can post wherever I like. And I'm going to just get rid of this because I don't need it to default. like that. And we can go back to our chart. Now, other things inside the chart, we've got some different postings inside here, different posting types, valuation. This is the revaluation for the multi-currency. We had that in GP. If you remember, we have that currency button where I could attach different currencies. Inside here, I've got same currency, and then what's the source currency if I wish to only assign a single currency. Consolidation, if you have consolidated statements, you can have a consolidation account, so that's fine. And then we've got some rate exchange, etc. So really what it is, and if you hit the where used, it'll tell you where this particular account is used, something that we don't have in GP. And it says that it's actually in the general posting setup underneath this product group GP and underneath this product group GP as well. So we've got the sales account showing there. So it shows that it's actually in a default account. It's a default account for one of my items is actually what it is. So there it is there. So that's how we add a new GL code. Now, dimensions are great because you can attach them as required without having to add new GL codes. So if I add a new department, all I have to do is add a dimension for, say, 01, and then I can use 01 against any of my accounts, and it will build that combination for us as we move forward. The other thing that you also have on the account card, like the other one, is a summary, and if I click on my GL balance by dimension, you can actually look at this by dimension, and this will show you the different pieces with the different filters. And if I show the matrix, should show monthly, there it is there, I have got this account inside here. If I drill on the account, or on the amount I should say, sorry, if I drill on the amount inside here, you'll see that this is going to 000 4110 02, 000 4110 01. So these are the different pieces that we've got, and I've got it filtered this way so that you can see some of this. And this then shows you that same structure that you saw inside GP. I have arranged this screen this way myself. All these screens are adjustable inside Business Central as well, so that you don't have to tab through fields you don't want. Oops, let me close this. All right. So now we're going to talk about balances. Now, when you go into GP and we look at a balance, we take a look at a balance, we can click on a balance inside here, and this will give me a list of all the transactions that make that up. And you'll see I've got 300, 4100, 01, I've got 0000, I've got blank, 4100, 02. So I can have any combination inside here that I wish, and I can put the information against it. I can control this, as I said earlier, based on making the code mandatory and giving it specific items. It's a matter of setup when you implement Business Central. So when you look at that, there is, of course, the currency button down the bottom here, and this is where you set your revaluation. But it's very straightforward. You just hit this, and you can then pick your revalue, and you can revalue net change or offset or whatever it happens to be, and you have what currency you wish to have. Same kind of fields exactly. Let me just go save, and we will save this account. We'll close. Now, when we go back to GP, we're going to talk about journal entries. So journal entries are stuff that we do at the end of each month. We do our payroll journal entries. We do our insurance journal entries. We do a whole bunch of different journal entries. And in GP, it's a fairly straightforward process. Again, you've got it is on both of them. In this transaction entry, in this transaction entry, we have the ability inside here to do a journal entry. So as I pop through here, I'm going to put it in a test batch just so that we can take a look at it. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to bring up this one here. There it is there. So this is a journal entry, $210, $200, 10%, $10 GST, and $210 total. It's coming out of petty cash, going to sales, so it's a reference for a journal entry. We key in a reference inside here, and it could be, petty cash sale or whatever it happens to be. And if we need additional descriptions, we do have the ability to put an additional description inside here, as well as these two new fields that showed up in 18.6 or 18.5. So those particular ones are there. So then we can put in some information against this, and that will be what we have inside this journal entry. We can post it if it's not in a batch, or we can save it if it is in a batch. I'm just going to quickly save this, and I'm going to pop over to here, and I'm going to go to Finance and General Journals. And I've created a batch header inside here called test, exactly the same way. We hit the test. And when we open up test, anything that's in test is going to show up on the screen. And so there we are here. So as you see here, there's my 200, there's my 10, there's my 210. I have exactly the same journal entry entered. And I've entered an account number, a department code, and a division code. These codes are dimensions. They don't have to be here, but I wanted to match it up. So this is how I would then enter this. This document number here allows me to pop this all the way across. There are additional pieces of information as we move across here. When we go past there, we have an amount. We cannot use debits and credits. We could get rid of these two columns and not only use positives and negatives. Negatives for credits, positives for debits, and then we would just enter the one amount. The difference between these two here is functional versus originating in terms that people understand inside Great Plains. The dollar value that you see here is the dollar value of the local currency. So if this was a US based transaction, these are Canadian. We're in a Canadian company. If we would do that, this would then show 160, I guess it would be, 142 or whatever it is today. So that would be 142 US, and this would be whatever the math is on that. And then we would have each of these this would be balanced, and this would be balanced. We'd be able to post it. We'd have a currency code in here, so we can then select our currencies. You'll notice I only have 3 currencies: Euro, Mexican, and US dollars. Those are the only 3 I've got set up for this company. The Canadian is not set up. It does not need to be set up, as the local currency is used as a blank. Okay, we don't have to set the currency for the local currency. We have different things over here. We have this called a balance account, and I wanted to quickly mention this one that if I go like this and I go to a document, I create a new document just by clicking on that. You'll notice that it's got a new document number. I've got a GL code. So I'm going to go into here. When I want to look up a GL code, instead of having to go like this and clicking on here and then scrolling down through the numbers, I can type what I know about this. So I can go travel. So I can just go TRAV, and it'll find everything that starts with travel. So I'm going to pick 6520. And then inside here, I can then select my department and my division. So I'm going to put this to the north. And I can put a division if I wish, or I can leave this blank. I'm going to put it to admin. So admin travel. I'm going to click on the description inside here and go Don's travel account. Like so. I'm going to come across to here, and I'm going to put in a debit amount because I want to debit this account. I'm going to debit this for, say, $500 because I'm taking a flight. Perfect. There we are. Now, if this was just to be paid with petty cash, I could actually go right over here to a balance account and type in here, I can put in petty cash. There's petty cash, like so. Done. Now, because this is 500 here, and because I put a balance account, this line is now balanced. So when I go to the post print here, there's a preview posting. I'm going to preview the posting here. Yep. Yeah, I know it's after the working date. That's fine. There we are. There's a GL entry. There are 5 entries there. And the 3 entries that you saw that I keyed individually, and you'll notice that this has now been broken into the 2 entries. Single line, 2 entries. So when you've got a debit and a credit that's equal, you can put it on a single line. If you need multiple lines, you can put them on multiple lines, as you can see here. That's been done from here. So, and then there are my dimensions being shown here, so I can see what's going on. And if I scroll across here, I can see things such as source currency, and if there was a source amount, it would be here. So any of your pieces inside here. Again, no balance account inside. These 2 are the balance accounts because they're the offsets of each other, and that's what we would have. And then we could post this if we wanted to. So then we can. I'm not going to bother posting, but the idea is you just hit the post button and away it goes. And you can post as many transactions as you want inside this batch. By clicking here and show more options, you can hit select more. It gives you a list here, and if I want to post everything on the screen, I just click that button, and then I hit the post button. If I only wanted to post the bottom one, I can just highlight the bottom one like this and go post. And then it would only post the one. So that's kind of how it works. everything inside this, the test batch is really just a repository for where it is so that you can keep them separate between multiple users. So it could be called, it could be a date with a name after it, like we do in GP a lot of times, or it can be whatever you wish it to be. So from there. Now, one thing I would like to mention is that on the GL, so that's kind of how those two things work. But one thing I wanted to show today was that when I go to a chart of accounts like this, and I got my chart of accounts listed here, and I'm looking down this list and thinking to myself, oh, gee, that one's not right, and maybe this one's not, and this current assets should be something else. It should be accounts receivable instead. I want to change these from current assets. I want to change this one and all the references to it. But I've got, a fair number of accounts in here that I got to go through. You can go up to here, and there is a button inside here that you can open in Excel. If I open it in Excel, it's like a smart list export to Excel. It puts all the information into an Excel spreadsheet, and then you can work with it and do what you want. But the more powerful one is an edit in Excel. And I've already hit the edit in Excel on this particular one. And what you get is you get this add-in. It automatically loads the add-in once you get started on this. And then this will pop up. Now, this is assuming you've got the right security rights for it. So inside here, I can hit refresh. And I'm just refreshing the data. And you'll notice inside here that the savings account is listed as current assets instead of cash. So inside here, this is just a spreadsheet. So I can do whatever I want in here. So I'm going to type in here, I'm going to type in the word cash, like so. And down here, I'm going to go Control C, and I'm going to go Control V, and I'm going to put in accounts receivable. There we are. Perfect. No problem. So then what I can do is I can hit publish. So when I hit publish, it publishes it out. 2 changes, writes the cash, everything's up to date. Not a problem. So now when I go back to Fabricam, and I click out of the chart of accounts, and then just go back in just to refresh the screen, you'll now see that those accounts receivable things that accounts receivable has been changed and the cash has been changed. So you can easily change the chart of accounts. It will allow you to change things such as the names and the categories and things like that. What it does not allow you to change is anything that's auditable. So all these numbers, I cannot change that $4,835 without doing a journal entry because, of course, that would throw my GL out if I did that. So we can't have that. But the idea is that we can change a bunch of different things inside here, and you can change a lot of the different pieces like currency. I could fill in the same currency here if I wanted to, and I could add additional currency codes if required. And I can do it on a more global basis by using the Excel spreadsheet. The same is also true when you look at this. So if I go into here and I change this to 17, and I just change this to 17 and go Control V. So there, if I now go publish, it publishes the data, process 3 changes, and now when I go back to my general journal, the same thing is going to apply. So when I click on here and then I click on test, you'll see that instead of being 15 and 16, it's now 17. And I can add additional transactions and things like that as required inside Excel, and I can copy and paste them in. I can also copy and paste directly from Excel into any of the fields that are listed on this here, and you can copy them out and then make the changes and copy them back in again. Just go copy, Control C and Control V does a very good job.